Stop. Don't scroll. I am not here to give you a motivational speech to help you survive another week. I am here because this coming Monday has your name written on it in the courts of heaven. You have been feeling the weight of an old skin that no longer fits, a version of yourself that is screaming to be shed. If you are hearing my voice right now, it is not by chance. It is because the transition from the pit to the palace starts in the next few hours, and you are led here to receive the map for that journey. Take a deep breath and listen with your spirit, not just your ears. You have been walking through a season of heavy silence. You prayed, and it felt like the ceiling was made of brass. You knocked, and the doors seemed to grow extra locks. But I have a word for you. The silence of God in the last few months was not a sign of His absence. It was the loudest sign of your promotion. You were being tested in the dark so that you could be trusted in the light. But let's talk about the truth of your Tuesday afternoons and your Sunday nights. You have been living in a state of high alert. Your soul is on guard, as if you are waiting for a blow that never comes, or a phone call that will change everything for the worse. You lay your head on the pillow, but your mind stays awake, pacing the floor of your problems. You wake up on Monday morning, already feeling defeated, carrying the weight of a week that hasn't even happened yet. It's a physical tightness in your chest, a shadow that follows you into the shower and sits with you at the breakfast table. And then there is the mirror. You look at your reflection, and you no longer recognize the person looking back at you. There is a king, there is a queen, there is a ruler trapped behind a tired face. You see the lines of worry, and you wonder where that spark of fire went, the one that used to believe that all things were possible. You feel like an outsider in your own calling, watching others move forward while you feel anchored to a past you thought you had already outrun. Beloved, I know the weight you carry when you walk through your front door at night. This is the part that hurts the most, isn't it? You love your family. You would die for them. But lately, you have nothing left to give them. You come home, and there is a heavy silence between you and your spouse. They've learned to stop asking how your day was because they can see the answer written in the tension of your shoulders. Your children, your grandchildren, they look at you and they see the stress, the distraction, the somewhere else look in your eyes. You are physically there, but your soul is still out in the field, fighting a battle you don't even have the weapons for. You feel like a bucket with a hole in it. No matter how much grace you receive on Sunday, by Monday noon, you are empty again. You are repeating the same cycles, making the same decisions out of survival rather than wisdom. You are deciding based on what you fear losing, not what you were born to gain. This is the sign of a chosen one who is trying to enter a new season carrying the heavy, ragged garments of the old prison. And this is exactly where most chosen ones fail. They try to occupy a palace while still smelling like the dungeon. They try to govern their lives without the instrument of clareza, the clarity that changes everything. There is an instrument that Solomon left recorded, a specific code for the chosen to navigate this exact transition, to shed the old skin and walk into the palace version of themselves. I will show this instrument to you in a moment, but first, I need you to stay with me, because I haven't told you the most important thing yet. I am going to show you exactly where you have really been in these last few months, in a way that finally makes the silence make sense. You are going to recognize yourself in what I describe, not just the general feeling, but the specific night, the specific conversation, the specific moment you almost gave up. In a few minutes, I will reveal 3 ancient Hebrew keys that govern the identity of a chosen one. These are not just words, they are portals. When we reach the 3rd key, you will finally understand why your old methods of handling pressure stopped working. You will understand why the old you had to break so that the new version could emerge for this specific Monday. And finally, before this word is over, I will declare 3 names over your spirit. This is the sealing. It is not a generic blessing. It is a commission. These 3 names will shift your posture from a survivor to a ruler before you lay your head on the pillow tonight. If you leave this word before the sealing, you leave with your armor half fastened. You leave the portal open, but your feet on the wrong side of the threshold. Stay. The next few hours are the most important of your year. Child of God, you are standing at the edge of a Monday rebirth. The spirit of delay has been feeding on your lack of a daily ritual and your blurred identity. It wants you to believe that the tired face in the mirror is the real you, It wants you to believe that the heavy silence at home is just how life is now. But the King has summoned you. And just like Joseph, before you stand before the power that will change your life, you must shave and change your raiment. You must prepare the version of you that is ready for the palace. I am going to give you the Hebrew name of the weight you've been carrying. Once you name it, it loses its power. Once you recognize the seal on your spirit, the instrument of Solomon begins to work. This Monday is not just another day of work. It is the beginning of the version of you that was hidden for such a time as this. Comment "I am ready" right now if you can feel the gates of the prison starting to creak open. I am not finished. There is a word in Hebrew that will change everything. Stay with me. Stop. Don't scroll. I am not here to give you a motivational speech to help you survive another week. I am here because this coming Monday has your name written on it in the courts of heaven. You have been feeling the weight of an old skin that no longer fits, a version of yourself that is screaming to be shed. If you are hearing my voice right now, it is not by chance. It is because the transition from the pit to the palace starts in the next few hours, and you were led here to receive the map for that journey. You have been walking through a season of heavy silence, but the silence of God was the loudest sign of your promotion. Take a deep breath and listen with your spirit. I need to speak to the physical toll this season has taken on you. You have been living in a state of high alert, an inner vigil that never ends. You lay your head on the pillow, but your soul stays awake, pacing the floor of your problems. You wake up on Monday morning already feeling defeated, carrying the weight of a week that hasn't even happened yet. It's a tightness in your chest at 3 a.m., a shadow that follows you into your day. Your body is exhausted not from labor, but from the spiritual friction of carrying an old version of yourself into a new season. Let's look at the decisions you've been making. Lately, even the simple choices feel heavy, as if every move could be a trap. You find yourself deciding out of survival, out of a fear of what you might lose rather than the wisdom of what you are meant to gain. You see the same patterns repeating, the same financial bottlenecks, the same professional walls, as if you've diagnosed the problem but lack the strength to break the cycle. You are moving resources in urgency because you can't wait for the clarity to arrive, and by Tuesday afternoon that choice already tastes like a mistake you've made before. But this is where the weight is heaviest. Your home. You love your family, and you would give your life for them, but lately you have no silence left to give them. You walk through your front door, and there is a heavy atmosphere between you and your spouse. They have learned to stop asking how your day was because they can read the answer in the tension of your shoulders. Your children or grandchildren look at you and see the stress, the distraction, the somewhere else look in your eyes. You are physically present, but your soul is still out in the field, fighting a battle you don't even have the weapons for. You feel like a bucket with a hole in it. No matter how much grace you receive on Sunday, by Monday noon, you are empty again. You have arrived at this moment because something you did today opened an exception in the heavens, and I have a three-part promise for you. First, I will show you exactly where you have really been in these last few months, in a way that finally makes the silence make sense. You will recognize your specific nights and your specific decisions. This is not a general word. It is a surgical diagnosis of the transition you are currently undergoing between the dungeon and the throne. Second, I am going to deliver something concrete to you right here inside this video. I will reveal 3 ancient Hebrew keys that govern the identity of a chosen one. When we reach the third key, you will finally understand why your old methods of handling pressure stopped working and why the old you had to break. You will receive this revelation without moving from where you are. Third, at the very end, I will declare 3 names of identity over your spirit. This is the sealing, a commission that shifts your posture from a survivor to a ruler before you sleep tonight. If you leave this word in the middle, you leave without the sealing. You leave the portal open but your feet on the wrong side of the threshold. Stay until the final decree, because the next few hours are the most important of your year. You are currently like a seed in the dead of winter. To the world, the ground looks hard and frozen, and there is no external evidence of life. But you were placed there with intention, by hands that knew exactly what you were carrying. You are not buried, you are planted, and the dark was necessary for the shell to crack. The shell must break so the new skin can emerge. You have been trying to grow in a season of drought, but the problem isn't the soil, it's that you've been fighting without the instrument that was promised to you. You are like a king trying to govern his people while still wearing the ragged garments of the prison. You have been fighting with your bare hands when there is a map, a compass, and a tool specifically designed for this Monday rebirth. You haven't been fighting poorly, you have simply been fighting without the tool you didn't know existed until now. Right now, I want you to perform an act of positioning. This is not for me. It is a decree to the atmosphere that you are ready to receive what is being revealed. Go to the comments and type "I am here." Let this be the mark of your presence at the portal. By typing these words, you are telling the spirit of delay that you are no longer hiding in the shadows of the pit. You are standing at the gate of your Monday, ready to shed the old skin and walk into the palace version of yourself. Do it now as a sign of your readiness. This transition from the prison to the palace is exactly what Joseph experienced. But he didn't walk into the presence of the king looking like a prisoner. He had the wisdom to change his raiment and prepare his posture. Solomon, the wisest man to ever live, left a record of this exact wisdom, a code for the chosen to navigate the space between the promise and the fulfillment. This instrument is what prevents the Monday dread and restores the family shield. I will show you this tool in a moment, but keep it in the back of your mind as we move forward. You are the Bakir, the chosen one, who has been tested in the fire and emerged approved for government. But what happens to a seed that no longer recognizes its own potential? What happens to a ruler who believes they are still a slave because they haven't seen the mirror of the palace yet? We are about to go deeper into the Hebrew name of the weight you've been carrying, and once you hear it, the old skin will begin to fall away. Stay with me because the silence is about to be replaced by the sound of heavy iron gates opening. Between the decree issued in the heavens for your Monday rebirth and the physical reality of the palace you are meant to occupy, there exists an interval. This interval is the space between the pit and the throne, and it is here that the enemy waits with his oldest trap. He knows that a chosen one who enters the new season, still wearing the prison garments of the old skin, is easily defeated. You arrived here because something you did today opened an exception in the spirit, but if you return to your day tomorrow without the instrument to sustain that exception, the portal of your Monday will close before you can step through it. It is in this gap that the chosen lose their momentum, not because the decree was revoked, but because they reached Monday morning without the map to navigate the palace gates. Solomon was the wisest man to ever walk the earth, and this is not just a title from a history book. It is a divine record signed by God himself. When he had the chance to ask for anything, he didn't ask for wealth or long life or the heads of his enemies. He asked for wisdom. God was so moved that he gave him wisdom and everything else alongside it. Solomon judged the dispute of the two mothers when no one else in the kingdom knew how to discern the truth. He wrote 3,000 proverbs and governed Israel at its historical peak, a level of glory never seen before or since. The Queen of Sheba traveled for months just to test this wisdom, and when she returned, she said that not even half had been told to her. Even Jesus, the King of Kings, cited Solomon by name when teaching the multitudes. And Solomon did not take this wisdom to the grave. He left it recorded with surgical precision that has crossed 3,000 years without losing its edge, specifically for the chosen ones who would follow in his steps. He left recorded exactly how to stop wearing your prison garments in the middle of your palace season, how to break the patterns of the old skin that keep you repeating the same cycles of struggle and survival. He left recorded how to walk through your front door on Monday evening without bringing the shadows of the pit home with you, so that your family finally feels the peace of your presence instead of the weight of your stress. And he left recorded how to walk with the posture of the Bakir, the posture of one who knows, who acts with criterion, so that you stop asking for advice from those who have no authority to give it. Stop deciding in the heat of pain, and stop believing in those who sell cheap, empty miracles. I have gathered this wisdom into a guide called The Code of Solomon's Wisdom. It is waiting for you in the first pinned comment right below this video. It is the union of the wisdom of Proverbs with the principles of peaceful restoration, taking you out of survival mode and bringing you into the state of clarity and decision. Solomon wrote it. I have organized it for the common day you are living right now, for the version of you that is being reborn this week. Along with the main guide, I have included 2 instruments because without them, the guide would have a void. The first is the ritual of the righteous sleep. 10 minutes before you sleep, guided by what David wrote in Psalm 4:8. I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. This is not a modern relaxation technique. It is the act of handing over the inner vigil of your day to the one who never sleeps. It is for your soul to stop pulling a double shift over problems that are already in the hands of someone who doesn't need you awake to defend what is yours. The second is the awakening of clarity, the 7 morning decrees. 5 minutes upon waking, before your phone, before your coffee, before the first message the world tries to write into your spirit. 7 decrees in your own voice, taken from the wisdom of Proverbs. That position the day before the day can position you. It is the posture of an heir before the bills, and the routine try to speak for you, allowing you to begin your day as one who was called, not as one who was crushed before 8 in the morning. And the value is less than a Starbucks coffee in the afternoon. It is less than a simple Sunday lunch with your family. It is less than a tank of gas to drive to church on Sunday. I set it at this value on purpose, not because it is worth little. It is worth what Solomon left recorded for 3,000 years, but so that the only obstacle between you and the instrument would be your own decision to reach out. Not price, not a schedule, not distance, only your hand moving toward the link. And there is a guarantee for 7 days. If you open it, use it for a week, and it doesn't serve you, you send one email and receive every penny back. But here is the part that no one else does. You keep the 2 bonus instruments. The ritual of the righteous sleep stays with you. The awakening of clarity, the 7 morning decrees, stays with you. Even after the refund. This is not a generous concession. It is the recognition that the risk of testing this must not be yours. The risk is ours. The only risk that remains for you is the risk of not testing it. The risk of leaving here with the decree open in heaven and losing it by Monday morning for lack of the instrument. The next night you will lay your head on the pillow, with your soul still on high alert, is not months away. It is tonight, perhaps in 3 hours. The next morning you will wake up thinking about the battles and what is yet unresolved. Starting the day at a disadvantage is tomorrow, perhaps in 6 hours. The next time your family will receive you discharging the weight of the pit is tomorrow night. Every night without the ritual of the righteous sleep is a night your body will pay for. Every morning without the awakening of clarity, the 7 morning decrees, is a morning the world rewrites first. Every day without the code of Solomon's wisdom is a day your household feels the shadow of the old skin instead of the light of your new authority. The cost of delay is not 0. But do not leave now. The ceiling has not finished. What I need to show you next is greater than any instrument Solomon left recorded. It is the ancient Hebrew name of what is happening to you at this exact moment. The name of the exception that was opened in heaven because of what you did today. When you hear this name, you will understand why everything up to this point was preparation for a single word. Stay. You are not being crushed, you are being compressed. Think of your life as a spiritual pressure chamber. Coal and diamonds are made of the same material, but only one survives the deep, dark weight of the earth to become something that can cut through any surface. These signs I'm about to give you are the evidence of that pressure. If you have felt these 5 things in the last few weeks, it is the proof that the king is preparing you for a throne, not a grave. Listen closely, for each sign is a marker on the map of your transition from the pit to the palace. The first sign is a shift in your spiritual atmosphere, the brass ceiling. You've noticed that your prayers have changed their tone. You go to the secret place, but instead of the usual warmth, you encounter a heavy silence. It feels as if your words are hitting a barrier and falling back to the floor. You might think God has turned away, but the truth is the opposite. He has stopped answering the prisoner version of you because he is waiting for the palace version to speak. This silence is the invitation to change your frequency and receive a new raiment for your soul. The second sign is a practical weight in your daily decisions. You feel an unbearable heaviness when faced with even the simplest choices. It's as if every move you make is a recurring pattern you've already diagnosed, but cannot seem to break. You see the same financial walls, the same professional bottlenecks, and you feel the frustration of a ruler trapped in a survivor's routine. This is the friction of the old skin trying to stretch over a calling that has grown too large for it. You are deciding out of a fear of loss rather than the wisdom of the Bakir, the chosen one who governs. The third sign is the most painful because it lives within your own walls, the failure of the family shield. You love your spouse, your children, and your grandchildren, but lately you have noticed a distance that has installed itself in your home. It's the heavy silence that meets you at the front door. Your spouse has learned to stop asking, "How was your day?" because they can see the tension in your jaw. Your children no longer run to you with the same lightness because they see a father or mother who is physically there, but whose soul is still out in the field, bleeding from battles they weren't meant to fight. The fourth sign is the visible leak in your daily resources. You feel like a bucket with a hole in it, watching as your time, your energy, and even your finances seem to slip through invisible points you cannot close. No matter how much you receive or how hard you work, by Monday afternoon, the reservoir is dry again. This is not a lack of effort. It is a sign that you are operating in a new season without the proper seal. You are carrying the weight of a palace with the strength of a dungeon, and the structural integrity of your life is screaming for a new instrument of government. The fifth sign is silence, as the only response to your request for confirmation. You have asked for a sign, a dream, or a word to tell you that you are on the right path, but the heavens have remained quiet. This is the final test of the threshold. When a king is about to be crowned, the mentors often fall silent, so the king can take the first step by his own decree. If you have been met with nothing but quiet, it is because you are being forced to recognize the authority already placed within you. The silence is the space where your new identity is forged. If these signs have been your reality, I want you to perform a second act of positioning. This is a decree of ownership over the burden you have been carrying. Go to the comments right now and type, "I carry what no one else carries." By declaring this, you are acknowledging that your struggle is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of unique weight. You are telling the atmosphere that you recognize the pressure of the diamond, and you are ready to be revealed. Type it now. "I carry what no one else carries." Let it be the seal upon your readiness. Understand that you are in a spiritual pressure chamber. Each of these 5 signs is a hand pressing down on your life, not to destroy you, but to refine the carbon of your spirit into the clarity of a diamond. The enemy wants you to interpret this pressure as punishment, but it is actually preparation. You are being compressed so that when you finally step into the palace, you will be unbreakable. The old skin must be shed under this weight so that the new, resilient version of you can emerge for the portal of this coming Monday rebirth. There is a word in Hebrew that defines exactly what you are carrying and why you are experiencing these 5 specific signs. It is a word that changes the narrative of your struggle from victim to victor. When I reveal this word to you in the next few minutes, you will never look at your Monday morning or your tired reflection in the mirror the same way again. It is the key that unlocks the meaning of the silence and the heavy iron gates. Stay with me, because we are approaching the moment where the prisoner's garments are finally removed. But before I give you the Hebrew name of the weight you carry, I must remind you why the order of this revelation is so critical. The name gives you the identity, but the instrument gives you the ability to sustain that identity in the common day. A king who receives a crown but has no scepter is a king who cannot govern. It is the same with you. You need to know who you are, but you also need the tool to walk as that person when the alarm goes off on Monday morning and the world tries to pull you back. This is why the instrument Solomon left recorded is so vital for this transition. The Code of Solomon's wisdom is the shaving and changing of raiment for your soul. It is the map that helps you navigate the distance between the pit and the palace, ensuring that once you receive the Hebrew name of your calling, you don't lose it in the noise of Tuesday afternoon. The name is for your spirit. The instrument is for your life. Stay for the name, but remember that the scepter is already waiting for your hand in the link below. Close your eyes for a moment. I want you to disconnect from the noise of the room, from the blue light of the screen, and from the mental list of things you still have to do before this day ends. Breathe deeply, feeling the air reach the bottom of your lungs, and place your right hand firmly over your chest. Feel the rhythm of a life that was preserved for a reason. You are not just a biological coincidence, you are a spiritual event. The heaviness you have felt lately, that sensation of being an outsider in your own calling, is not a sign of abandonment. It is the friction of a sacred transition. We are moving from the diagnosis of the soul to the revelation of the seal. There is a name for what you are living, and when you hear this name, the architecture of your struggle will finally begin to make sense. In the ancient tongue of the prophets, in the language that carved the foundations of the world, there is a word that names your current state. It is the word Bakir. I want you to hear the sound of it, Bakir. Most people who look at this word from a distance would translate it simply as chosen, but that is a shallow definition that does not reach the depth of your pit. In the original scrolls, Bakir carries the weight of the furnace. It does not mean someone chosen by luck or a random lottery of grace. It means one who has been examined, one who has been put through the fire, and one who has emerged approved for the government of the palace. It is the name of the diamond after the pressure. It is the name of the air after the testing. You have been living in the Bakir season, and that is why your old methods of handling pressure stopped working. The prison garments of your old skin are falling away because you can no longer fit into the smallness of your previous version. You thought you were being crushed by the world, but you were being compressed by the hand of God to receive the signet ring of authority. The pit was not your grave, it was your school of discernment. Every night of alert, every Monday morning of dread, was the Bakir process refining your spirit so that you wouldn't just occupy a throne, but you would know how to govern from it without losing your soul to the pride of the palace. This is the truth recorded in the holy scrolls of the king, in a promise that was written for this exact moment of your journey, as it is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 105, verse 43, "And he brought forth his people with joy, and his chosen his Bakir with gladness." Notice the order of the revelation. The joy and the gladness are not what you find to start the journey. They are what the king brings forth at the end of the trial. You have been walking in the silence, but the exit of the Bakir is always marked by the sound of heavy iron gates opening. The gladness is not the absence of the battle. It is the presence of the victory that was already sealed in the spirit. You are the seed that was hidden in the dead of winter. To the world, the ground above you looked hard, frozen, and silent. They thought you were buried, but the king knew you were planted. This Bakir season required the dark because only in the dark does the shell of the old skin finally crack. The darkness was not your enemy. It was the womb of your new version. You had to reach the point where you could no longer rely on your own strength so that you could finally reach for the instrument of clareza, the clarity that only comes to those who have been tested and approved. The winter is over, and the first sign of spring is the realization that your identity has been transformed. Right now, you are standing at the edge of the Monday portal. This coming Monday is not just another day on the calendar. It is the day you step through the threshold of your rebirth. But you cannot enter the palace wearing the garments of the prison. You cannot govern the new season with the habits of the dungeon. The signet ring is already waiting for your hand, but your hand must be prepared to hold it. You have been carrying the weight of a ruler while still seeing the reflection of a slave in the mirror. The Bakir revelation is the mirror of the palace, showing you that the scars you earned in the pit are actually the credentials for your new position of authority. The weight you have been carrying at home, the heavy silence with your spouse, and the distraction in your eyes when you look at your grandchildren, these were the signs that your soul was outgrowing the old skin. You were trying to protect a palace with the tools of a prisoner, and the structural integrity of your life was screaming for a change. You needed a new ritual, a new posture, and a new decree. The Bakir does not beg for opportunities. The Bakir commands the season because they have been approved by the king himself. This Monday marks the beginning of the version of you that no longer reacts to the week, but decrees the week before it even begins. Now that you know the name of what you carry, I must tell you that you are not the first to walk this path. There was someone who carried this Bakir seal long before you, someone who was pulled hastily from the dungeon, shaved his beard, changed his raiment, and stood before the power of a nation. This man was Joseph, and his transition from the pit to the palace is the exact map for your Monday rebirth. What happened to him when he changed his clothes and stepped before the king is the secret that will change everything for you tonight. I promise to come back to this, and that moment is now. Stay with me, for the last part of the code is about to be revealed. You have been walking a path that feels lonely, but you are not walking a path that is new. 3,000 years before you felt the Monday dread, there was a man named Joseph who sat in the heavy silence of a dungeon, wearing the ragged garments of a prisoner. He was a Bakir, a chosen one, who had been tested by the betrayal of his brothers and the false accusations of a world that didn't understand his seal. For years the iron entered his soul, and he watched the seasons pass through a small window of stone, wondering if the dreams of his youth were merely cruel illusions. He sat in the pit, much like you have sat in your silent Sundays, waiting for a word that seemed never to come. But the silence of Joseph's prison was not the silence of abandonment. It was the frequency of preparation. He was being synchronized to the palace while he was still in the dungeon. Then, in a single hour, the portal opened. Genesis chapter 41, verse 14, records the shift. Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him hastily out of the dungeon, and he shaved himself and changed his raiment and came in unto Pharaoh. Notice the surgical wisdom in his reaction. Joseph did not run into the presence of power smelling like the prison. He understood that to occupy the palace, he had to first shed the skin of the prisoner. He used the instrument of preparation to align his physical posture with his spiritual destiny. Joseph didn't just have faith. He had the practical wisdom to recognize that his transition required a ritual of clarity. He shaved his beard and changed his clothes because he refused to let the dungeon's frequency dictate his conversation with the king. And when he stood before Pharaoh, he didn't just interpret a dream. He provided a map of administration. He identified the gaps in the kingdom's harvest and created a system to store the grain. He was the first to govern the 7 years of drought before they even arrived. His wisdom was his instrument, and it was this practical, applied discernment that turned a former slave into the ruler of the greatest empire on earth. Your life is mirroring Joseph's journey at this very moment. You are being brought hastily out of a season of lack and into a season of government. But before we go further into how you will occupy this new version of yourself, I need you to do something as an act of spiritual intercession. Click the like button on this video right now. You are not doing this for me. You are doing it for the Bakir, who is still trapped in the dungeon of their own mind, waiting for this specific frequency to reach them. Every like is a signal to the atmosphere that another prisoner is about to shave their beard and change their raiment. Do it now as an act of faith. Because you have stayed, because you have recognized the weight you carry, I am now authorized to declare 3 names of identity over your spirit. Hear them not with your ears, but with the seal that is on your soul. The first name is, you are the keeper of the promise. You are the one who has been entrusted to guard the seed of your lineage, even when the ground is frozen and the winter is long. This name means that the delay was not a denial. It was a protective layer around the harvest that is about to burst forth this Monday morning. The second name I decree over you is, you are the bearer of the decree. Your words no longer fall to the ground as empty whispers of survival. From this moment on, your speech carries the weight of the king's signet ring. When you speak over your finances, when you decree peace over your household, and when you command the heavy silence to leave your marriage, the atmosphere must shift to accommodate the authority of the Bakir. You are no longer a victim of the weak. You are the one who signs the decrees that the weak must follow. The third name, and perhaps the most important for your family, is you are sent before the time. Like Joseph, who told his brothers that God had sent him ahead to preserve life, you were placed in the struggle not as a punishment, but as a strategic mission. You endured the pressure, the sleepless nights, and the exhaustion because you were chosen to be the bridge for your entire family's survival. You are the one who breaks the generational cycles of the bucket with a hole, ensuring that those who follow you will never have to know the smell of the dungeon. You must understand that these 3 names are not just titles, they are frequencies. Just as a radio must be tuned to a specific station to receive the music, your soul must be tuned to these names to receive the resources of the palace. Joseph operated on the frequency of government while he was still cleaning the floors of the prison, and that is why the gates eventually had to open for him. By receiving these names tonight, you are synchronizing your receptor to the Monday rebirth. You are aligning your new skin with the portal that is opening in the next few hours. You are the keeper, the bearer, and the sent one. These names are now the new raiment for your spirit. They are the shaving of the old beard of sorrow and the putting on of the linen of authority. When the world looks at you tomorrow, they will see the same face, but they will encounter a different weight. They will sense the Bakir seal, and the doors that used to be locked will begin to recognize the frequency of the palace that you are now broadcasting from your very presence. The transition is no longer coming. The transition has already begun within you. But there is a secret, something the enemy is terrified you will discover about these three names. He has spent months trying to keep you in a state of blurred identity because he knows that once a chosen one recognizes their specific names, his primary weapon of sabotage becomes useless. He can no longer use the Monday dread or the family wall to stop someone who knows they are the bearer of the decree. He has been feeding on your amnesia, but tonight your memory has been restored by the wisdom of the king. When you know these names, the heavy silence in your home is no longer a threat. It is simply a space waiting for your new decree. The pressure in your chest at 3 a.m. is no longer anxiety. It is the signet ring pressing against your heart, reminding you of your authority. The enemy's greatest fear is not your prayer. It is your recognition of who you have become in the fire. He wants you to believe you are still Joseph the prisoner, but the king has already summoned Joseph the ruler. And this is the final key you must hold. Once you know your names, the instrument becomes an extension of your hand. A map is only useful to a traveler who knows where they are standing. Now that you know you are a Bakir, the Code of Solomon is no longer a book of advice. It is your scepter. But stay with me, because there is one more thing the adversary doesn't want you to know about the power of these names. Because when you hear it, the last rope of the dungeon will snap forever. Stay. The adversary is not a creative genius. He is a repetitive strategist who relies on your lack of a map. You have been losing ground not because you are weak, but because you have been operating in the dark without a strategic battle plan. He knows that the Bakir version of you is dangerous to his kingdom, so he targets your perception before he targets your reality. He wants you to see the prison garment every time you look in the mirror. But tonight, the frequency changes. We are moving from the defensive to the offensive. I am handing you the map to recognize his traps before they spring and the weapons to shatter them before Monday morning arrives. The first tactic he uses is the erosion of comparison. He forces you to look at the harvest of others while you are still in your winter season. He whispers that your clock is broken, that you've missed your window, and that your peers have outpaced you. This is a mirror erosion designed to make you hate your own process. He wants you to believe that the tired face in the reflection is your final identity. When you compare your pit to someone else's palace, you lose the capacity to recognize your own transition. This tactic feeds on your Sunday night anxiety, making you feel behind before the week even begins. Your weapon against this is the decree of singular trajectory. You must stop speaking what you feel and start speaking what he said. Your weapon is the morning decree, the 7 mirrors of your true identity. When the enemy shows you the clock of the world, you must declare that your time is governed by the king, not the calendar. This is the posture of a Bakir who knows their path is unique. Before you touch your phone tomorrow, you must speak your names: Keeper, Bearer, Sent One. This weapon shatters the mirror of comparison and installs the frequency of your specific Monday rebirth. The second tactic is the erosion of perception. The enemy takes the heavy silence of your season and translates it as rejection. He tells you that the brass ceiling is proof that God has forgotten your name. He wants you to interpret the quiet as abandonment so that you stop knocking on the door. If he can make you believe that the silence is a no, he can stop you from receiving the yes that is already signed in the spirit. This tactic targets your prayer life, turning your secret place into a desert of doubt where you feel like a stranger instead of an heir. The weapon to neutralize this is the memory of the altar. You must reach back into your history and pull forward the moment when God was unequivocally real to you. Remember the fire that didn't consume you. Remember the provision that arrived at the last second. This is not nostalgia. It is a spiritual weapon. By bringing the evidence of past faithfulness into your current silence, you create a bridge of fire. You tell the atmosphere that the God of the previous miracle is the God of this Monday. The memory of the altar breaks the erosion of perception and reminds the enemy that the silence is just the deep breath before the shout. The third tactic is the erosion of persistence, the 24-hour trap. The adversary knows exactly when your breakthrough is scheduled in the courts of heaven. His goal is to make you quit exactly 24 hours before the gates open. He intensifies the pressure, increases the heavy silence at home, and heightens the physical exhaustion in your chest right at the threshold. He wants you to lay down your armor when you are just one step away from the palace. He bets on your fatigue, hoping that the weight of the prison garment will finally feel too heavy to carry into one more Monday. Your weapon is last-second resistance. It is the decision to stay upright when every nerve in your body and every voice in your head is screaming for you to fall. It is the Joseph resolve that refuses to let the dungeon have the last word. Before I show you how to use this weapon in the final prayer, we must perform an act of spiritual positioning. Subscribe to this channel right now. This is not for numbers. It is a decree to the atmosphere that you are positioning yourself in the frequency of the chosen. It is an act of alignment with the BKHIR community. Do it now. Now that you know exactly what tactics are being used against you, and you have the weapons to fight back, you understand that you were never losing. You were just operating without the strategic map. The enemy's advantage is gone. The darkness has lost its ability to deceive you. But there is a final act that must be performed to seal these weapons in your hand. There is a prayer that needs to be made, not by me for you, but by you with me. This is the moment where we turn the weapons toward the gate. Close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths. Stay. The final word is coming. Close your eyes now. Place both your hands firmly over your chest, right over the place where you have felt that tightness, that inner vigil that never seems to end. Take a deep, slow breath before we continue, feeling the air fill the space where the weight of the prison garment has sat for so long. This is not just a moment of silence, it is the moment of your shedding. We are at the threshold of the portal, and as we speak to the King, the frequency of the pit is being washed away by the sound of the opening gates. Father, we come before you not as those who are lost, but as those who have been found in the fire. We bring to your altar the exhaustion of a body that has forgotten how to rest, a heart that has paced the floor of the same problems for too many nights. We confess the fatigue of the Bakya, who has been tested until they felt they would break. We lay down the burden of decisions made in the dark, the choices made out of survival when the clarity seemed to hide its face. We bring the heavy silence of our homes, the tension that has sat at our tables, and the hearts of our families that have felt our absence even when we were standing right in front of them. We receive tonight the 3 names you have written on our spirit, the Keeper, the Bearer, and the Sent One. We stand ready for the raiment of the palace. My child, I have seen you in the nights when you stared at the ceiling and the tightness in your chest arrived before the first thought of the morning. I was there in the 3 a.m. vigil when you felt you were being crushed, but I was not watching you break. I was watching the old skin fall away. I felt the rhythm of your heart when it raced with the fear that the silence meant I had forgotten your name. I was never silent because I was absent. I was silent because I was syntonizing your soul to the frequency of a throne you have not yet occupied. I saw you in the decisions you made in desperation, those moments when the pressure was so great that you acted before the clarity arrived. I saw you wake up the next day with the weight of an error you had already diagnosed, but did not yet have the instrument to avoid. I saw your frustration with the recurring patterns and the cycles that seemed to have no exit. I did not judge the survival. I was preparing the wisdom. The mistakes of the dungeon were the lessons for the palace, and tonight, those patterns are being shattered by the revelation of who you are. I saw you walking through your front door at night, discharging the weight that the world placed on your shoulders upon the ones you love most. I saw your spouse learn to stay quiet, and I saw your children look for the person you used to be behind the mask of stress you wore. I saw the pain you felt when you realized you had nothing left to give your own household. I was there in that heavy silence, and I saw the tears you shed when no one was looking. I am restoring the shield of your house tonight so that your presence becomes a source of peace instead of a source of friction. My child, I did not let the fire consume you. I used it to burn off the ropes that held you to a version of yourself that could never govern. The transition is not coming. The transition is here. This Monday, you do not go back to the battle you have been fighting with your bare hands. You go back to the harvest with the instrument of a ruler. You are no longer a prisoner of the weak. You are the one who decrees the weak. The seed that was hidden in the winter has cracked its shell, and the first sprout of your new version is breaking through the ground tonight. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. Do not say amen yet. Stay here in this frequency. Feel the weight of the signet ring on your heart. The iron has left your soul, and the gold of the palace has taken its place. The seed that was buried has now sprouted, and the ground that looked dead is now the foundation of your government. The winter is over, and the portal of your Monday rebirth is standing wide open. Now you may say amen. What has been sealed here right now will be tested on the very first Monday morning. When the alarm clock rings, when the routine returns, when the voice of the old cycle tries to reread what happened today, as nothing more than the passing emotion of a Sunday night. The enemy does not accept without a fight what has just been decreed over you. And he who has been commissioned without an instrument walks into the open field without what Solomon left recorded exactly for this moment. The exception was opened in heaven. Now it needs to survive the common day. The code of Solomon's wisdom is in the first pinned comment right below. Not as a substitute for what you received in this message, but as a companion to defend what was sealed. Because a decree without an instrument rots on the first Monday morning, and the adversary counts on Monday. It is less than a Starbucks coffee in the afternoon, less than a Saturday afternoon snack, with a guarantee of 7 days and the 2 bonus instruments that stay with you even if it doesn't serve you. The risk is ours. The hand is yours. Click now while the decree is still alive in your chest. Not tomorrow, not after your shower, not after talking to someone else, because those who leave it for later leave it for never, and the adversary counts on later. He has already counted on later in every other message you received and postponed. He is counting on later right now too. This will not be one more. And now the last word. There is someone in your circle carrying the same prison garment that you wore until today. Someone who is going to walk through their front door tonight, discharging the same heavy weight from the pit. Someone who is going to lay their head on the pillow with the same soul on high alert, fearing the Monday portal. That person will not stop their scroll on their own. They need someone to send this, that someone is you. This is not sharing a video, it is an act of intercession. Now close your eyes, breathe 3 times, and remain in silence until the video ends. What was done here needs to land. Do not scroll, do not leave, stay.